guys, you're watching part 1 of our Christmas special. In this episode we'll be making a Mario themed string of lights and a cool way to hide the base of your Christmas tree. So we started with a basic string of LED lights. Our string has 20 lights on it, so we'll be making 19 smaller stars and one big one to go on top of our tree. For every star we'll need a front and back, so we start this project by tracing and cutting out 40 stars. We use LED foam for both the string of stars and the base. This type of foam allows light to pass through. Our next step is applying contact glue on the edges of the stars. Once the glue has dried, you can put the stars together on the string lights. Make sure to keep the light in the center of each star. Remember to put the big star at the very end of your string. This makes it easier to attach it to the top of your Christmas tree. The Mario stars need eyes. Cut out the eyes of your template and transform them onto your stars. Initially we used a black fine liner, but in the end we cut the pairs of eyes out of a thin sheet of foam. This made them more visible. You could even use some black paint. You could leave the stars the way they are, but we wanted to Dremel the edges. This finishing touch makes the stars look even better. It's a pretty tedious job to do though. After Dremeling, remove the foam fluff with a heat gun until it looks like this. The stars look more pointed and realistic. We think it's worth the extra bit of effort. Here you can see the difference. The star with the sanded edges looks more smooth and more finished. This was also the reason we changed the eyes from fine liner to foam. Now the Mario Christmas lights are done, let's get started on the tree base. We're making a question block with light to hide the ugly base of our tree. We start by tracing the outlines of our template onto our foam. We trace the rounded edges, but also trace the corners with a right angle. Later on we're going to sand the edges and the corners. We use the traced rounded corners as a reference when we use our Dremel. We use the right angles when we cut our pattern with a knife. You'll need to cut 5 squares. A ruler makes sure your cuts are really straight. It's time to punch some holes into our foam. LED foam is pretty soft, so you can use anything that's a bit sharp and the right shape and diameter. The metal back of a cheap paintbrush does the trick for us. Use the template to make sure you put the holes into the correct place. Don't punch holes in the one square that will go on top of the block. Heat seal everything with a heat gun. Cut the question mark out of your template. We'll use the question mark to trace it onto a thin sheet of foam. We'll use the rest of the template later on, so keep this close. You'll need to trace and cut 4 question marks. And heat seal it afterwards. Paint the question marks white. We started painting the edges with a brush and used the sponge for the rest. We used 2 layers of cheap white gesso. The question marks don't have to be very flexible and they're for decoration only. So you could use any type of white paint you have lying around. Remember the template? Use this template to mark the spot where your question mark needs to be. Apply contact glue onto your marked area. Make sure to apply glue to all edges and spread evenly afterwards. Apply contact glue onto your question marks as well. As you can see, we use a piece of scrap foam to spread the glue evenly. Once the glue is dried out, you can press the 2 pieces together. Repeat this until you have 4 squares with question marks onto it. We use our Dremel to sand the edges to a 45-degree angle. Dremel all 4 sides of the regular square. You don't Dremel the 4 bottom edges of the question mark sides. Remember our metal puncher? Use the same tool to make new rounds to fit our punched holes. They need to be tight. We punch these rounds out of a scrap piece of regular grey foam with the same thickness as our LED foam. This foam won't allow light to pass through it. We'll glue the rounds when they are still wet. This way you'll have more control on how you want the rounds to stay put. As you can see, you want the rounds to fit a bit deeper into your block. Now it's time to assemble your block. Apply glue to all 4 sides of the regular square. These sides have a 45-degree angle. Also apply glue to the tops of your 4 sides. These should also have a dremeled edge. Once your glue has dried out, it's time to put the pieces together like this. Take your time. Make sure to connect both edges to each other in a straight line. Also check to see if both corners line out. Foam can stretch a bit. Press it firmly together before you proceed to the next one. By pressing the outsides of the seam first, you make sure your edges will look sharp. And once you're done, it will look like this. As you can see, both sides are still fully loose. Now for the tricky bit. Apply your glue to 2 sides. These sides will have a 45-degree angle as well. Make sure the glued sides don't touch each other. Because some spots are hard to reach and we have to use our arm to keep the foam from touching, we use our fingers to spread the glue. This do create sticky fingers. Press both glued sides together when they're dry. Make sure to connect the outsides of the seam first and work from top to bottom. Make sure your bottom corners line out as well. After you're done, repeat this 3 times. Now your question block is finished. Put a light beneath it and you'll have your own question block light. As we want our block to become the base of our Christmas tree, we'll need to punch a hole in the center of our top square. An ordinary pencil will do, as you can see. The next part will be different for everyone, as you'll need to add some inner structure. You'll have to find this out for yourself. We used a see-through container and attached this with duct tape to the standard base of our Christmas tree. We then used an LED light we can control with an app. As I said before, we want to dremel the edges and corners of our question block as well. Just like it was with the stars, it's optional though. It does create more smooth lines and it looks really nice. And once again, use your heat gun to heat seal the edges you just dremeled. And now our question block is finished as well. Your Christmas tree will now look something like this. So this is it. Thank you very much for watching. In our next video we'll be making some Mario Christmas ornaments to decorate our tree a bit further. Feel free to subscribe to our channel if you don't want to miss part 2 of our Christmas special. Have a Merry Mario Christmas!